Okay, so here's something called the Barabasi-Albert graph distribution, and I don't know much about this, but what do you think about this graph? What does it look like?
So it looks a lot like the random graph, although it looks like no people with no connections.
All right, what do you think?
It's got these sort of, for the outliers here, there's like spikes. They've got these sort of triangular web of connections. I guess maybe there's a minimum of maybe like 3 connections per person. I think you can see that in the...
Yeah, let's see what the connections look like, the distribution.
It does look like it's 3.
So the amount of...
average is 6, but what do you think about this distribution of connections?
It seems it's more structured than the random one. And I guess the previous one we looked at was structured as well. I think it was sort of symmetrical.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, most of the population has the minimum number of connections. You sort of slope down, and having more connections is increasingly rare.
Mm-hmm.
What do you
It's like an exponentially decreasing function for the number of connections, and it looks like you can have people that have large connections here, just like we did in the random graph, although it's more one-sided. Like, I guess you go really far out in one direction,
Mm-hmm.
but the minimum seems to be 3.
Yeah, so this is a very different distribution. So lots of people have a small number of connections. A small number of people have a lot of connections. Do you think that's what the real world is like?
Yeah, I mean, it seems better than having a randomly generated number of connections.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. So here's 5 steps. Well, actually, do you think that's going to spread quickly, less quickly, more quickly through this network?
I don't think it'll spread as quickly.
You
I think it'll be
slower?
more quickly than
Oh, and you think it'll
this
be more
one.
quickly?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a difference of opinion here. So let's see.
Ooh. Huh. It looks like it did indeed spread very quickly.
Yeah, so... Oh, wow.
Yes.
Basically the 4.
It just, it's just like...
Maybe.
I don't even know if that's exponential or it's just basically you're almost immediately infecting the entire graph.
Yeah.
Maybe you started with somebody that had a large number of connections, but,
Oh.
so there could be variation in there as well.
Possibly, yeah. So, yeah, that's actually interesting because it went 154. So, we hit a lot of people on that first step. So let's run another one. Let's see.
Alright.
I don't know why you would hit so many people so quickly, but maybe. No, it's still spread.
And even though you only had 34 people, it still got there in basically 4 steps.
Yeah. Wow. This one we might have to.
I wonder if we could look at the maximum of the histogram, like the maximum value here, because it does look like it keeps going.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It seems like it is consistently infected by 5.
Yeah, wow. Okay. So instead of the mean, we'll just do max.
Hun-
105. Oh, wow.
So,
Yeah.
So if your initial one has a lot of connections, then if you infect that one, you go through the network super fast.
Yeah.
yeah, I guess the graph does seem to have a pretty long tail to it. If you have that long of a tail until 105, then the mean of the number of connections might shift upwards more. Might not stay at 3.
Yeah, so I wonder if I choose, instead of always starting with person 1, let's just start with person 100. No, it still goes all the way through very quickly. Oh, wow, even though we only had 5 people
It's
the
still
first time.
I guess it's just impossible to avoid hitting someone who has, like, I don't know, someone could have like 90 connections there, or
Yeah.
something like that, and then it's impossible to avoid them even that early on.
Yeah.
That just makes it spread to the rest of the people super fast.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So in order to improve our model, like as we said, this is just something where everyone gets infected on the next step. So that's not a great model, but it's interesting to see just the difference in the graphs.
Yeah.
Sometimes you spread quickly, sometimes it takes a while.
Yeah.
All right, good work this morning, guys.